Hello everyone. NCERT class 11th chapter 5 Morphology of the flowering plant. This is the audio book and it is applicable for NEET students also. The wide range in the structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us. Even though the angiosperm shows such a large diversity in external structure or morphology, they are all characterized by presence of root, stem, leaves, flowers and fruits. In chapter 2 and 3, we talked about classification of plants based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plant, or for that matter any living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definitions. We also need to know about the possible variations in different parts found as adaptations of the plants to their environment. For example, adaptations to various habitats for protection, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have root, stem, and leaf. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. The root. In majority of the dicotyledons plant, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of the primary root, which grows inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary roots and its branches constitute the tap root system as seen in mustard plant. In monocotyledon plant, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system as seen in the wheat plant. In some plants like grasses, monstera and the banyan trees, root arises from parts of the plant other than the radicle and are called as adventitious root. The main function of the root system are absorption of water and minerals from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing reserve food material, and synthesis of plant growth regulators like auxin. In figure 5.1, parts of the flowering plant are shown, like underground part of the plant constitute of primary root, secondary root, which is the root system, and above the ground there is a bud, which is axillary bud. There is a node from where axillary buds arises. The space between the two nodes is called as internode. There is a leaf, which is the main photosynthetic organ for the plant, a stem which can be green in the young plant and brown in color in mature plant, and there is a fruit which is ripened ovary, and there are flower which is the reproductive organ for angiosperm, and this all constitute the shoot system. In figure 5.2, there are different type of roots. For example, tap root, fibrous root, adventitious root, which can be seen in the monstera and banyan tree. There are different regions of the root. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of the meristematic activity. The cells of this region are very small, thin-walled and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. The region is called the zone of elongation or the region of elongation. The cells of the elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to the region of the elongation is called the region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cells form very thin and delicate thread-like structures called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. In figure 5.3, the regions of the root cap are shown. The apical part of the root constitute of region of meristematic activity or meristematic cells, and it is covered by the thimble shape root cap. Then after the meristematic zone, there is a elongation or region of elongation or zone of elongation, and after that there is a region of maturation. From the region of maturation, there are root hairs developed, and these hairs are used to absorb water and mineral from the soil. The stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis bearing branches, leaves, flowers, and fruit. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called nodes, while internodes are the portion between the two nodes. The stem bear buds which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flowers, and fruits. It conducts water, minerals, and photosynthesis. Some stems perform the function of storage of food, support, protection, and of vegetative propagation. The leaf. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. Leaves originate from shoot apical meristems and are arranged in an acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole, and lamina. The leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may be two lateral small leaf-like structures called stipules. In monocotyledons, the leaf base extends into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plant, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinus. The petiole help hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petiole allows leaf blade to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to the leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf blade is a green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a midrib, prominent vein, which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and act as a channel of transport for water, mineral, and food material. The shape, margin, apex, surface, and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. In figure 5.4a, there is a structure of leaf where you can see the leaf where you can see the stipule, axillary bud, leaf base, which is swollen in Leguminaceae family, which is called as pulvinus, and a petiole which connects the leaf blade with the axillary bud or the stem, and there is a lamina, that is leaf blade. Venation. The arrangement of veins and the veinlets in the lamina of a leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. When the veins run parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. Leaves of dicotyledons plant generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristic of the most monocotyledon. In figure 5.4b and c, B represent the reticulate venation which found in the dicotyledon plant, and parallel venation can be seen into the monocotyledon plant, for example in the sugarcane and maize. Types of leaf. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire or when incised, the incision do not touch the midrib. When the incision of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets, the leaf is called as compound. A bud is present in the axil of the petiole in both simple and compound leaf, but not in the axil of leaflets of a compound leaf. The compound leaf may be of two types. In a pinnately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present on a common axis, the rachis, which represent the midrib of the leaf as in neem. And in the palmately compound leaf, the leaflets are attached at a common point, that is at the tip of the petiole, as in silk cotton. So, here we can see in figure 5.5, A and B both are showing different type of compound leaf. A representing pinnately compound leaf and B representing palmately compound leaf. Pinnately compound leaf can be shown into neem and palmately compound leaf can be shown into the silk cotton. Neem have the figure which shows the rachis, that is a thick midrib. Phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or the branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite, and whorled. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner, as in China rose, mustard, and sunflower plant. In opposite type, a pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other, as in Calotropis and guava plant. If more than two leaves arise at a node and form a whorl, it is called as whorled, as in Elstonia. In figure 5.6, different type of phyllotaxy are shown. A shows alternate phyllotaxy, which can be seen into the China rose. B shows guava and it shows opposite phyllotaxy. C shows whorled phyllotaxy that can be seen into the Elstonia. The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internode do not elongate and the axis get condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive node instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it always is solitary. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex gets developed into a flower or continues to grow, two major types of inflorescence are defined: racemose and cymose. In a racemose type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. The flowers are borne laterally in an acropetal succession. In cymose type of inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower, hence is limited in growth. The flowers are borne in a basipetal order. In 5.7 figure, racemose inflorescence are seen, and in cymose inflorescence figure is shown into the 5.8 figure. In a racemose inflorescence, we can see the acropetal succession, whereas in cymose inflorescence, we can see the basipetal succession or basipetal order. The flower is the reproductive unit in the angiosperm. It is meant for the sexual reproduction. A typical flower has four different kind of whorls arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel, called thalamus or the receptacle. These are calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are the accessory organ, while androecium and gynoecium are the reproductive organ. In some flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as a perianth. When a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is termed as bisexual. A flower having either only the stamens or only carpels is unisexual. In symmetry, the flowers may be actinomorphic, that is radially symmetrical, or zygomorphic, that is bilateral symmetrical. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. For example, mustard, datura, chili, that belongs from the Solanaceae family. When it can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphic. For example, pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. Pea and bean belongs to the Leguminosae family, and gulmohar and cassia belongs to the Caesalpinaceae family. A flower is asymmetrical, that is irregular, if it cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous, or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in the multiple of 3, 4, 5 respectively. Flowers with brackets, reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel are called bracteate, and those without bracket are called as ebracteate. In figure 5.9, position of the floral part on thalamus are shown. A figure shows the hypogynous, B and C shows the perigynous, and D shows the epigynous condition. Hypogynous conditions are those in which ovary is superior and all the floral appendages are present below the ovary. In epigynous condition, ovary belong at the lower level and all the floral appendages, for example calyx, corolla, and androecium, are above the ovary. And in the B or C figure, it shows the perigynous condition in which ovary and all other floral parts are at the same level. Based on the position of calyx, corolla, and androecium in respect to the ovary on thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous. In the hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flowers is said to be superior, for example, mustard, china rose, and brinjal. If gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called as perigynous. The ovary here is said to be half inferior. For example, peach, plum, and rose. In epigynous flower, the margin of the thalamus grows upward, enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower arise above the ovary, hence the ovary is said to be inferior, as in flowers of guava and cucumber, and the reflorets of sunflower. Parts of a flower. Each flower normally has 4 floral whorls with calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx. The calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamosepalous, that is the sepals united, or polypetalous, that is the sepals are free. Corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insects for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may also be gamopetalous, petals united, or polypetalous, petals free. The shape and color of corolla vary greatly in plant. Corolla may be tubular, bell-shaped, funnel-shaped, or wheel-shaped. Estivation, the mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in the floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whorl, is known as estivation. The main type of estivations are velvet, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. When sepals or petals in a whorl just touch one another at the margin without overlapping, as in calotropis, it is said to be velvet. As seen in figure 5.11, that is the type of estivation in corolla. A figure representing the velvet condition where no corolla are going to touch each other. If one margin of the appendages overlap that of the next one and so on, as in the china rose, for example in the lady finger, china rose and cotton, it is called to be twisted. In figure B you can see the twisted margins or overlapping margins of corolla with each other. If the margins of the sepals or petals overlap one another but not at any particular direction, as in cassia and gulmohar, that belongs to the imbricate estivation. In pea and bean flowers, or we can say in the Leguminosae family, there are 5 petals. The largest is called as a standard, which overlaps the 2 lateral petals, that is wings, which in turn overlaps the 2 smallest anterior petals called keel or carina. This type of estivation is called as vexillary or papilionaceous estivation, which can be seen into the Leguminosae or Fabaceae family, as showing in the figure D, which is a vexillary estivation where one large petal is called as standard, the 2 lateral appendages are called as the wings, and the last two lower appendages are called as the keel or carina, which can be fused together. Androecium. In the figure 5.10, parts of flowers are shown where pedicel, calyx, corolla, gynoecium, androecium are seen. Calyx are, the unit of calyx is sepal and it is green in color. The corolla, the unit of corolla is petal, which is brightly colored. Androecium is the male reproductive organ and the gynoecium is the female reproductive organ. Now the androecium. Androecium is composed of stamens, and each stamen, which represent the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament and an anther. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has 2 chambers, the pollen sac. The pollen grain are produced in the pollen sac. A sterile stamen is called as a staminode. Stamens of flower may be united with the other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are epipetalous, as in brinjals. This is showing the attachment of the androecium with different parts. When stamens are attached to the petal, they are epipetalous, for example as in brinjal or solanaceae family, or epiphyllous. When attached to the perianth, as in the flowers of lily, the stamens is in a flower may either remain free, that is polyandrous, or may be united in a varying degree. The stamen may be united into one bunch of or one bundle, that is monoadelphous as in China rose, or two bundles as in that is diadelphous as in pea, or into more than two bundles polyadelphous as in citrus. There may be a variations in the length of the filaments within a flower as in salvia and mustard. Gynoecium is a female reproductive part of the flower and is made up of one or more carpels. A carpel consists of three parts, namely stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tube, the style. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and is the receptive surface for the pollen grain. Each ovary bears one or more ovules attached to a flattened cushion-like placenta. When more than one carpel is present, they may be free as in lotus or rose and are called as apocarpus. They are termed as syncarpus when the carpels are fused. They are termed syncarpus when carpels are fused as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develops into seeds and the ovary matures into a fruit. Placentation. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placentations are of different type, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central, and free central. In marginal placentations, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral sutures of the ovary, and the ovules are borne on this ridge, forming two rows as in P. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial, as in China rose, tomato, and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovules develops on the inner wall of the ovary or the peripheral part. Ovary is one-chambered, but it becomes two-chambered due to formation of the false septum. For example, mustard and archimone. When the ovules are borne on the central axis and septa are absent, as in dianthus and the primrose, the placentation is called the free central. In basal placentation, the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as in sunflower and marigold. In figure 5.12, type of placentations are shown, that is marginal, axial, parietal, free central, and basal. The fruit. The fruit is a characteristic feature of the flowering plant. It is mature or ripened ovary developed after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called as the parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall or a pericarp and seeds. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into the outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp, and the inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is known as a drupe, and the figure is shown in the 5.13 figure. They develop from monocarpellary superior ovaries and are one-seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp, a middle fleshy edible mesocarp, and inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. In figure 5.13, you can see the parts of a fruit, that is the mango and the coconut. Here, the pericarp is well differentiated into mango, but in the coconut, there is no well differentiated pericarp. In mango, there is a well differentiations of pericarp into epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. In mango, mesocarp are edible, and in coconut, endosperm is edible. The seed. The ovules after fertilization develop into seed. A seed is made up of a seed coat and an embryo. The embryo is made up of a radicle and an embryonal axis, and one, as in wheat and maize, or two cotyledon as in gram and pea. Most of the time, monocote are having only one cotyledons and dicote having two cotyledons in which the food materials are reserved. Structures of a dicotyledon seed. The outermost covering of a seed is the seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and the inner tegumen. The hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called the micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo consisting of an embryonal axis and two cotyledon. The cotyledon are often fleshy and full of reserve food material. At the two ends of the embryonal axis are present the radicle and the plumule. In some seeds such as castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization is a food storing tissue and is called endospermic seed. In plants such as bean, gram, and pea, the endosperm is not present in the mature seeds, and such seeds are called as non-endospermous. Most of the dicot are the non-endospermous, and most of the monocot are the endospermous. The figure 5.14 shows the structure of a dicotyledon seeds, where micropyle is present above the hilum, and there is a seed coat which is testa and tegmen. Cotyledons and plumules are shown in a dicotyledon seed. Plumules, in the embryonal axis there is a structure which is called as a plumule, which gives rise to the shoot in the future, and there is a structure which is called as a radicle, and it gives rise to the root into the future. And cotyledons are the structure where the food materials are reserved for the embryo, and there is a structure outside the cotyledon, that is testa and tegmen, which form the seed coat. Structure of a monocotyledon seed. Generally, monocotyledon seeds are endospermic, but some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. In the seeds of cereals such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and the store foods. The outer covering of the endosperm separates the embryo by a proteinaceous layer called the alburon layer. The embryo is small and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of large one and shield-shaped cotyledon known as a scutellum, and a short axis with a plumule and a radicle. The plumule and radicle are enclosed in sheath which are called coleoptile and coleorhiza respectively. In figure 5.15, structure of a monocot seeds are shown. Here endosperm and embryo are shown. Also seed coat, fruit wall, aileron layer which have 3 aneuploidy. Endosperm which shows 3 aneuploidy. Scutellum which is a shield-shaped cotyledon. Coleoptile which is a protective structure over the plumule, and coleorhiza which is a protective structure over the radicle are shown. Now there is a semi-technical descriptions of a typical flowering plant. Various morphological features are used to describe a flowering plant. The description has to be brief, in a simple and scientific language, and presented in a proper sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habit, vegetative characters, roots, stem and leaves, and then floral character, inflorescence and flower part. After describing various parts of a plant, a floral diagram and a floral formula are presented. The floral formula is represented by some symbols. In the floral formula, BR stands for bracteate, K stands for calyx, C stands for corolla, P stands for perianth, A for androecium, G for gynoecium. A line below the G is representing superior ovary, a line above the G representing inferior ovary, and arrow symbol representing the male. Arrow symbol with a circle representing male, plus symbol with a circle representing female, and if a circle have both arrow and plus sign, it representing the bisexual plant. Plus sign in a circle representing for actinomorphic plant, and percentage are shown for zygomorphic nature of flower, where 50-50% or we can say the bilateral symmetry are shown. Fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within bracket and addition by a line drawn above the symbol of the floral part. So basically, if there is a addition of any one word with another word, then it is shown by a arc above both symbol. A floral diagram provides information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement and the relation they have with one another. The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoeciums are drawn in a successive whorls. Calyx being the outermost and the gynoecium being in the center. Floral formula also shows cohesion and adhesion within parts of flower, within parts of whorls and between whorls. The floral diagram and the floral formula in figure 5.16 represent the mustard plant, that is family Brassicaceae. So in figure 5.16, floral diagram with floral formula are shown for the Brassicaceae family. Here 4 sepals are shown in the green color, and which shows the valvate aestivation, in which no sepals are going to attach each other or not going to overlapping each other. There are 4 corolla inside the calyx, that is represented by the petals. There are 6 stamens, in which 4 are present inside and 2 are presenting outside, and there is a cruciform corolla, that is they are forming a X shape. There is a bicarpellary ovary in which 2 ovaries or 2 locules are present. Solanaceae family. It is a large family commonly called as the potato family. It is widely distributed in tropic, subtropic and even temperate zone. Vegetative character: plant mostly herbs, shrubs and rarely small trees. Stem herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow, hairy or glabrous. Underground stem in potato. Solanum tuberosum. Leaves alternate, simple, rarely pinnately compound, exstipulate, venetians reticulate. Floral character: inflorescence are solitary, axillary or cymose as in Solanum. Flower bisexual or actinomorphic. Calyx sepal 5, united, persistent, velvet estivation. Corolla petals 5, united, velvet estivation. Androecium stamen 5, epipetalous. Gynoecium bicarpellary, obligately placed. Syncarpus ovary superior, bilocular, placenta swollen with many ovule, exiled placentation. Fruits are berry and capsule. Seeds are many and endospermous. Floral formula are circle with plus sign which shows the actinomorphic condition, circle with arrow or plus sign which shows the bisexual condition. Calyx are 5 and they are showing in a bracket, so that's why they are fused. Corolla are again fused and 5 in number. Androeciums are 5 in number but they are free, so there is no bracket. But androeciums are connected with the corolla, that's why there is a arch above them which is called as epipetalous condition. Gynoecium are having superior ovary, that's why G with underline are shown, and there are 2 ovaries and which are fused together, that's why they are in bracket. Summary: flowering plant exhibit enormous variations in shape, size, structure, mode of nutrition, lifespan, habit and habitat. They have a well-developed root and shoot system. Root system is either taproot or fibrous. Generally, dicotyledon plants have taproot while monocotyledon plants have fibrous root. The roots in some plant gets modified for storage of food, mechanical support and respiration. The shoot system is differentiated into stem, leaves, flowers and fruits. The morphological feature of stems like the presence of nodes and internodes, the multicellular hair and positively phototropic nature helps to differentiate the stems from root. Leaf is a lateral outgrowth of stem developed exogenously at the node. These are green in color to perform the function of photosynthesis. Leaves exhibit marked variations in their shape, size, margin, apex and extent of incision of leaf, blade or lamina. The flower is a modified shoot meant for sexual reproduction. The flowers are arranged in different type of inflorescence. They exhibit enormous variations in structure, symmetry, position of ovary in relation to other parts, arrangement of petals, sepal, ovules, etc. After fertilization, the ovary is modified into fruit and ovules into seed. Seeds either may be monocotyledons or dicotyledons. They vary in shape, size and period of viability. The floral characteristics form the basis of classifications and identification of flowering plant. This can be illustrated through semi-technical descriptions of families. Hence, a flowering plant is described in a definite sequence by using scientific terms. The floral features are represented in the summarized form as a floral diagram and floral formula. Thank you.